But like honestly, 50 Cent like is so responsible for the culture now at this point, past the music even. Like, dude, I be kill. First and foremost, I love Power.
The TV shows are killing.
Okay.
The entire
universe. It started off okay. The ending of it was better. The writing got better. Power Book 2, insanely good, and it's coming back in December. And then Power Book 3 with Lil Kanan. Oh my god,
Raising Kanan.
It is so good, bro. It's so good.
It really is. I don't know who his writers are, but like
they got way
super
better.
Smart. Yeah, his universe is like he's created like a Marvel MCU for like drug dealing, and that junk works, bro. It's so good. And even if you're not into that type of show, even if you're not like I'm not into the gangster thing, like it's just really good TV. Which also this is on topic with off topic. This is like the best TV's ever been. We're in like a golden age of television. Television has never been better. movies are bad, kind of off right now, but television has never been better.
I would argue at this point. Like I believe we experienced the golden age, and then now we were in a decline with COVID, and then we're getting into a silver age. My argument for this is that there was a point in time where all these services, you could just get all the season, like the whole season right away. And then if you wanted to wait week to week, you still had like Game of Thrones that was out and good back then. You still had Westworld. You had HBO producing the hits. You had all the Disney Marvel shows on Netflix. Netflix was just coming out with like 2 amazing shows per month for everyone. And
I mean, I count that as a part of
Westworld is actually coming back though.
Damn, like I want Watchmen to come back. I want Lovecraft Country to come back. Though HBO used to be like
not coming back.
I know
coming back.
Good. Good. I feel like HBO was there for black people when we really needed them. We're like,
Insecure.
Right, put us somewhere. And then they just gave us
Insecure is fire.
And nobody asked HBO to do it. They just like looked at these shows. They're like, these are fire shows. And you can see that because like where's the good black representation in like Game of fucking Thrones? You know? Like, but then you see these other shows and they just got great selection. Yeah.
Game of Thrones, I'll give them this. It's the Middle Ages. And it's kind of based in Europe.
Like, you can't do that.
Nowadays, it's not an excuse.
We got Grey Rat.
You can put black people in anything. Like people like to.
Like I'm not looking for representation in Game of Thrones. Like I'm really not.
Middle Age.
I mean,
there's no
Grey Rat black.
There's no in the Middle Ages. First of all, there are black people in Europe, right? Like you're just used to depictions where there's no black people in Europe, but there's black people. There was black people in Europe.
There's black people in Game of Thrones.
I'm not saying
black people in Europe. And
the black people are like the worst.
And it's not quote unquote like the Middle Ages. It's a fantasy planet, right? With fantasy rules and fantasy ethnicities, right? There is a dark skinned people like Chris Cosmo is talking about, but he put them all to an island, and the island of where they apparently all just
we just didn't visit.
Yeah, they didn't visit, and they just fuck a lot there. That's what
they
did.
They did visit.
There are black people in Europe, though? Is this confirmed?
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't a lot of black people.
I've been to Europe 3 times.
But it's not Europe. One, like I'm saying, first of all, there's lots of black people currently in Europe. Like lots of black people in Europe currently.
Yeah, but they all like immigrants.
You have not been in Europe.
I've been 3 times.
If you have not seen,
I've been in 2014.
It's not important.
2015
the point
and
is that
2016.
black people have been in Europe for centuries. Is what I'm saying. Centuries. And so like this whole thing, like Europe was always all white. It's like imaginary. It's just what you have on TV shows, and that's people's ideas of the Middle Ages, right? Like there's that thing with the Roman statues, right? You guys know about that?
Yes.
The Roman statues, like you see them, they're all like white, like pale white, and people are like, well, this is an example of like white excellence captured in art. But when you look at them with like some sort of special examiner, like a view, you can see that those things were actually painted the entire time. They have all kinds of vivid colors, including of dark-skinned individuals, right? It's not just Europeans like loving themselves, right? No, because there were just all kinds of people there in Rome at the time, right? And they just captured those bodies. So
the Moors and the octoroons.
I'm saying.
So my only point. No, I'll finish it here. My only point is that like Game of Thrones is not isn't
like
even in
locked
Europe,
by
right?
real
Like,
life.
and like it's fantasy, and this is the craziest thing, right? You have, and this is also a thing for sci-fi, both of them, right? Like you can imagine a world of dragons, you can imagine space aliens, you can imagine the deepest, darkest terror, but you can't imagine a black person there. Like it's unbelievable.
I'm not
It's
saying I can't imagine.
Not you. I'm talking.
I'm
about,
glad the
like,
black people was on the
George R. R.
island.
Martin and others.
I
It wasn't
didn't
an island.
Not you.
We had a whole continent. We was off in peace.
There was parts of the story
Slaves,
that was in
bro.
that. There was parts of the story that was in that region in the books, right? But in the show, they did not cover. And when they did cover it, they covered very little, right? And like, it was the where they what's the name?
Dorne. It was the
Tyrion
southern,
where she got the slaves
yeah,
from.
Dorne. Yeah, Dorne. It was Dorne.
in Essos,
right?
and like there's Westeros, and I
There's
think it's
Southros
Essos. I don't know.
too.
I was saying, like Grey Rat or Grey Worm. I can't miss the name. He's black, right?
Yeah, but dude, they gave us a black dude that was originally a slave. That's of just
a
being
eunuch.
that is just like that is just choosing to be subservient. But
they
then here's
didn't
the
kill
thing. Here's the thing. I'll give you with this. Like, you want to people use this point all the time. They'll be like, all right, this is like the Middle Ages, but not the way you were describing it. You were saying like you don't expect much out of it. It's the Middle Ages, but people are like, well, I mean, like there's not much they could do. But think about this: in the show, outside of Jon Snow, who was a very simple written male character, the leaders of every single country by the end were women. That doesn't add up with history. Nobody complains. That was great representation. Nobody complains about it. That is great representation. They could easily do that.
I think
Like you
they're
had,
gonna correct it with the new show.
I'm not. I don't. A Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah.
Like even if you make a Game of Thrones or whatever show you're making, that's like when I say Middle Ages, I'm talking about like loosely. Like they're wearing knight armor. Their castles are made of stone. You know what I'm saying? There's drawbridges, all that stuff. Like they're using like old Middle Age warfare, whatever. The stone.
You're not talking
like,
about history. You're talking about this, like the idea. I get
region.
The aesthetic is that.
Mhm.
So when I look at the aesthetic, I'm not expecting a bunch of black people to show up and just
bro,
be
give
there
me a
to
sword
represent-
and
You're
good
not
pay.
expecting it because they
Give
don't
me-
show it to you,
Exactly.
right?
Give me some,
like, no,
give
no,
me
no,
some
saying-
food,
like,
some
only
pussy and a sword,
9.6
and I'll be out
people,
there
black
slaying,
people
bro.
currently-
Would you have a fro? Or some
9.6
dreads?
million people currently in Europe, black people. 9.6
how
million
many?
black people. 9.6 million black people in Europe. Currently, that's the estimate.
Yeah, I mean,
online.
Where do you see that? I
Europe
couldn't
does
find
have a
that.
smaller amount of black people than the United States. I think it
Obviously,
ranges
yeah.
from like 0.1 to 3% based 3 or 4% based on the country. But
yeah, I went
like,
there, and I
if you
don't
go
think I
to,
saw
like,
a single black person that I didn't
There are
travel
plenty of black people.
There's black people.
And
There's
not just
There's
black
there's
people,
immigrants.
like
I have a few friends who
Arabic
live
Haven't
in
you
people.
seen that?
But
Haven't
that's
you
not
seen
the
those?
point.
you see black
But
people.
The point
Like,
is that like it's fantasy, right? And that's the thing. Like I think like the media has stunted your not, and I'm not trying to criticize.
No,
anyone
I've
here.
been
I'm not
there.
trying to- No. I'm sorry. Don't get focused on that. Listen, I'm not criticizing you. I'm just saying for people, right? The media has stunted our imaginations when it comes, especially with fantasy and sci-fi, right? Like, okay, right. So Game of Thrones, well, it has castles and drawbridges, so I guess that means black people
I
can't be
don't
there.
watch
Okay,
Game of
whatever.
Thrones.
But then what's Star Wars excuse, right? Like Star Wars being so white as it was for so
because
long,
only white
right?
people go to
Yeah,
space,
man,
right?
they had
Exactly.
you had
Yeah.
Chewbacca. They had
So like,
Chewbacca.
I mean,
Wait,
so
niggas
the
not
the
going
big
to
Here's what
space,
they do with
Prime?
black people. Mace Windu. Right, so it'll be like, okay, well, we have Mace Windu. Okay, you know what Mace Windu was? This is fucking canon, right? Well, at least it was until they like Disney redid it.
He came from a planet of black people.
He came from a planet of black. It was a. Listen to this. Mace Windu came from a jungle planet of black people with backwards technology, right? That and they were all like force sensitive, all of them, right? And so because of that, the Emperor sent a fleet of warships, surrounded it, and
No, they
bombarded it.
Namek
So
them. They freezing them.
exterminated the black people. Like the
No.
white people and the white ships came there and blasted the planet of black people and then exterminated them all. That's what happened.
I mean,
What-
yeah,
what-
he's
They
not
didn't do
wrong.
him like
At
that.
the
Where
end
was
of the
Goku?
day-
Where was Goku?
At the end of the day, when it comes to like black people in media, I don't want to like say everything is like sinister. Like some things are like the Star Wars thing is kind of crazy, and like I'm not gonna put anything. but like I don't think it's like super helpful to point fingers at like that, especially in the modern times. But something to be said is like there one, there's black people everywhere. Everyone, you can put black people on anything. It doesn't like these like restrictions on race don't exist. But the restriction that does exist is that like if you have more than like a couple black people in something, it becomes like a diversity like film or a black show or a black right or and so unless you're like it's like oh they're doing that for diversity. So like
watch,
right so like
if you watch
what?
any British show, I'm telling you, if you watch any British show, for some reason, they have mass black people in these shows, right? And they never need to, and for some reason, it's never an issue. You can
like chewing gum?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Luther.
Yeah, but okay, you can talk about
characters.
British show. You can talk about British shows, and like, don't get me wrong, there are some really fucking good British shows out there, right? But like Hollywood's where the industry's at, right? And when you're talking about Hollywood, the like from things coming out of Hollywood, see, and not saying this is the way it should be. And in fact, I talk about this all the time whenever I come on Prime's panels. I think one of the most important things is like black representation in media. I think that's how you change people's minds. That's how you expose people to experiences. But if you put too many people of color in shows, right? Not just black people, but also like Hispanics, Asians. If you start mixing the races too much, the show gets like this like taste in the like not my mouth or your mouth, but like in the like people's mouths as like being like a diversity show. It's like, oh look, they put all the colors into the rainbow there so they could be diverse. They put the woman in the cast so they could have a woman. They put the Hispanic guy. Like look at this perfectly diverse. It's like when you see those like ads and it's like, oh look, they purposely picked a white guy, an Asian girl, like a black man and a Hispanic dude, right? It's like they made sure they covered all their bases, and that's like kind of how people see the shows. And
but that's when they like that's the thing is
wait,
like
no.
That's when
and
they
I think it's
someone.
good. I think the way to get past this is to normalize that. I think we push hard into that, and I like when they do that. But in the meantime, like when they're making shows, like you have to realize that like that's the taste it leaves in people's mouths. And it might not reach as far of an audience, and these people are going to try to do it. Make some money.
I don't know.
I want to
like,
see black people in suits and armor.
Streaming has done wonders. Yeah?
No, I think Netflix is amazing. They put out so much good like originals.
He said Shang-Chi needs more black people.
True,
right? Like it didn't need more black people. It was cool without us being there. Like I'm cool with Black Panther just being a bunch of black people. That's cool. Like, and if they want to make a movie that has just a bunch of white people in it, fine, that's cool. Just don't give me a token black dude and kill him off in the first like 15 minutes. Like that makes me more mad, honestly.
Yeah, I just like
having all black people is bad, but like you definitely like it's having a film with all black people or a film with all white people is fine. Like who cares, right? Who gives a fuck? If they want to make something about like Nazi Germany back in the day and they wanted to be all white people, then sure, whatever. But like when you look at all of the agglomeration of media and everything that's possible, and everything is like all white people and then like 2 black actors and an Asian or something like that, but it's all white people and like 2 Hispanics and 1 woman, right? In the cast, like it looks kind of weird, and they like that's why I say we need like more diversity in like media and stuff.
But
that's
I was gonna say just
I'll point than Game of Thrones than the Game of Thrones point. Yeah, I think that's a little different than the Game of Thrones point. Because my whole argument was like they didn't have to try and do that. Like it was cool the way it was. Like I was good with it. Like
that's what I was saying. And specifically in Game of Thrones, I didn't want to like it wouldn't have been cool to me to see like a black dude in like a suit of armor with a sword and like a crest.
Why?
Wait,
if the black dude is a badass, like have you watched fucking what is it? Thor? Heimdall is fucking bad as fuck.
Sure,
bad as fuck. Like if you do it right and you put a black dude in there with a sword and you cast him right and you like write the character right, then his race isn't gonna fucking matter.
It would matter. It wouldn't. I'm talking about me personally.
Disagree.
I'm talking about me personally. I don't want to see a black dude in a suit of armor with a family.
I don't think. I think you think this, but I think when you see a good black character written in something like that, you're not going to notice it. Okay?
How you gonna tell me?
You say you'll notice it. I don't believe you. I don't think you're being like dishonest, but like the media has like brainwashed us all into thinking that like, oh, we don't need to see a black person in something like Game of Thrones. But when it's done and it's done extremely well, like that shit hits fine.
I don't like Heimdall. I was about to say, like in Thor, I know this is his character and I don't like it. Like it, and that's just my personal opinion. Again, I just don't want to see a black dude with like a family crest because of specifically like I remember doing like the family crest thing in like in middle school. Like, oh yeah, like find your family heritage, and then like you look it up and like, oh, this is where my family came from, and then you realize like, wait a minute, this is not where my family's from. My family, this is not my family crest. But I'm just
right?
well, it's Game of Thrones. Everybody has a family crest.
No,
now,
that's
it would
not
have been
true.
That is true. Everyone is from a house.
It's
Everyone's
not.
from a
It's
house
not.
in Game of
Not
Thrones.
everyone
But I
has
was gonna
family
no,
crest.
but
not
I'm
true.
but I'm saying specifically
Main
like
cast was.
I'm saying like it would have been cool if they did something like the Dothraki, like if there was like an island of black people who like was like, we don't need this armor, like we got our spears, like unironically that would have been cooler. But I just like it's not cool of me to see a black dude in a suit of armor. That's lame.
We don't need this armor. We got our spears, dude. This is like the Star Wars thing. Give the black people the less technology, you know?
Or they could be more advanced.
No, look, in Game of
Go
Thrones,
ahead.
in Game of Thrones, they have like there's regions of black people. There was black pirates in the show, right? They like there was regions of black people, and there was characters who were banished from their lands who end up in other lands having to wear other armor, you know, because they're in that place. Right, they're not just wearing the armor like where they came from, because especially if you come from a cold region and you end up in the desert, you're not gonna be fucking wearing like a huge huge plates of armor, right? Depending on where you are, you dress for the occasion. Just like when you the people up damn it, like the north
or something.
yeah, wildlings come down from the north, like you gotta drop some of that clothing, and when people go up to the north, they gotta put on more clothing, they gotta adapt to the way the region is, right? Or the Unsullied, the Unsullied had to dress women when they got up there. They didn't have to, but because they could experience anything and be good with it. Yeah, but like there's no reason, because like in the books these regions exist, right? They didn't have to like exclude them from the show. But for like in the case of like film, like a lot of these shows, right, they choose not to to tell all these stories, right, or to show the representation of people in these lands, right? They just hire the white people and they do it that way. When they were in Dorne for a whole season, right?
You couldn't give us one black advisor. Like you gave us the bald-headed nigga. You gave us like Littlefinger. You gave us fucking Tyrion, a dwarf. And
wasn't the black dude like the richest dude in the world? Like the one that
he was
ended up killing off.
They made him evil.
Yeah, he
they
was
gave
evil.
us an evil person, and then
He
two
was
servants to a white woman, and then they gave us like this one guy. There was one guy that was like, they were like, yes, he's one of the strongest people in all of Dorne, and he was like this brawling dude, and then I think he died, or he just never got a fight. So it's just like
never saw him after that. Like they tell you about a character, you never see him.
You're right. There was a black super rich dude who got defeated and was evil.
because like Daenerys ended up killing him. He was like, you can be my woman, and like I'm the richest man in the world.
He wasn't rich though. That's the point. There was a problem.
He was really rich.
No, you opened the vote and they found out he had nothing in there, and they locked him in the vote.
I thought she stole. I thought she stole all his money.
No, he was lying to everyone.
He was a tricker. He was like, yeah,
he was like faking his wealth to get like through the city and to get all the things he was getting. But when they opened the vote, they looked at him. He was like, you were lying this whole time, right? And because of that, she locked him and the one girl he was with at the time inside the vault, right? Because they was going to rob him, like they was going to take everything he had for the army. But when they realized he had nothing, and what he offered was a lie, because when they got there, he was talking about, I'll offer you all these ships and stuff, right? And he was completely lying. He had no money to give him. He was just trying to use her to get what she had. It was fucked up. There's other characters in the story that they could have used, and then no, they're not always like prevalent throughout the entire story. Just the representation. The writers got lazy at those parts of the story. They left out points, and as seasons went along, they start cutting out episodes in the season because I don't know, again, laziness.
I thought he literally killed off all the other rich people and stole their. Oh my bad.
Smooth. You been trying to say something?
All right. So
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to say, like, to the point of representation, like, I don't feel like it should be forced representation. I don't like forced any type of character. anything. Like I don't like forced nothing in movies. Like if it's
Or
a
just
well
like
written
ooh.
character, if it's a well written character and you have it in there, cool. But if you're just forcing a character just to be there just for the sake of representation, that's stupid. Like a character that's just like that's the black character. You know what I'm saying? Like that seems disingenuous than actually making that an actual real character and him being black a part of him.
Hold on.
You know
Yeah,
what I
So
mean?
there's no such thing as a forced character. Okay, there are lazy
Yes,
characters and there are good characters, right? You don't force a black guy into something. You say, I want a black guy, and then you don't put any effort into it because you have him and that's enough, right? But like Netflix does a really good job at this. When you actually like care about the characters that you put in the show, like especially shows that every single character has meaning, or like all the main characters at least and the supporting characters have like a lot of meaning. Like you don't have these characters that are like quote unquote forced. You just have characters that are well written, and like no one would ever say like, oh, they forced that character in there if it's like a side white character who just has no story and like really sucks, right? Like, but when you make that person black or like a woman, right? You're like, oh my god, they forced it. No, they were just lazy with the writing and they didn't write a good character. And it's also not that difficult.
This is also unironically something I put like something I kind of agree with, but something that like most people disagree with. Like, hot take. I don't think we should like the idea of like characters just happening to be black, like, or happening to like people say like I just want it to be just be another character. Like I think that like race is such a like me being black is a part of like my development, my experience. Like I don't like characters who just happen to be black or happen to be gay. Like I know that's supposed to normalize the thing, but I think it should be a part of their character.
Wait,
like,
that's fine if you're doing like a realistic character in a realistic setting and like exploring certain ideas in like a more realistic way. But especially when you're doing like Marvel films, you're doing fantasy stuff, you're doing science fiction. There's like tons of genres in which like those circumstances don't exist because you've created a different world.
Well,
right?
No, I disagree with you there, Hunt, on one thing. So we're gonna go to Wiggle and then Chris. But like, I disagree with you on the Marvel at least, right? Marvel is supposed to be set in this world with aliens, but like this world, which is no, it's definitely absolutely. That's why they tried to hammer that home during Falcon and the Winter Soldier, right? Like that was the point. Hey, these politics actually do exist. Oftentimes we're ignoring them, and in fact, right, like Falcon thought he was too big for them for just a hot second, right? He thought like I'm a hero, right? I've saved the world. I've fought against a person who was wiping out like, half of life in fucking like in the fucking universe, right? And then when he comes from a fucking bank load and they're like, well, you must have forgot.
I don't disagree with you. Part of the Marvel world does it, but like there's also all of the parts that like aren't on Earth, right? That like don't like right. So Marvel films maybe aren't the perfect
Falcon's
example,
credit score was terrible. He disappeared for years, bro. You can't get no loan. What are you talking about? He don't got no credit history.
It's not just about us like adults. Like we can sit here and critique it all, but it's like the idea of like children growing up. They're not gonna notice the things we are talking about right now. They're just gonna notice like there's somebody that looks like them that's on the screen. Like when I was growing up, I was like, I was watching shows, and there's a reason why I was like, oh, I really like the black smart kid in Fairly Odd Parents because I love this show. And this is the guy that I could see myself as. And then when I was watching these shows, I felt that way. There's a reason why I flocked to like That's So Raven. That show wasn't even that good, but I was like, damn, this is like good. There's a reason why like black kids
That's So Raven
watch.
was real good. What?
Yeah, like there's a reason why black kids are like spending. There's a reason why black kids are like we're watching like a bunch of these like reruns of like sitcoms and such because the people look like you and you're like, oh, this is nice. Even if it's like the Cosby Show or something where it's like you're not living that life, like you feel like, wow, this somehow
I lived the
something.
Cosby Show.
And then
I
like
don't know about you guys.
Beyond that, it's just like that like matters. Like you seeing that and seeing someone like that, seeing that imagery matters because it impacts your relationships. It's like you grow up and then you're like, well, there's somebody that's doing this, or I see these characters on the screen, etc. That does mean something for kids. Like
Proud
as an
Family
adult,
matters more.
you've already surpassed that. We're already overcome that. We're all survivors of that. So at this point, you're like, I don't care if there's a black person on the screen. Just if there is, don't do them poorly. But that's because we're all survivors of like already living through a system where we didn't have that much representation, etc. Where it's like if you had these characters and such, like I would feel the same way as like Black American Made and Home Run with Smooth, etc. I would feel that way. I'd be like, man, fuck it. Like as long as the character's good and don't do anything where you just make the character like red or something to represent. Because think about like the idea of the kid not seeing a black character, they'll start to imagine themselves as whoever isn't white. Like you watch Dragon Ball Z and you're like, I recognize myself as Piccolo.
Not me.
The nigga's an alien. The nigga's an alien.
Like, y'all need to stop saying he's black.
You watch shows
and
and
he's not. But like I know so many black people who vibe with Piccolo.
You see someone who's like slightly off, and you're just like, that's my character because that's my experience.
I'm about to say,
bro,
the blue dude and
everybody knows everybody knows Namekians are Pakistani, bro. Y'all need
They might be, but
no
you know,
idea
like
about
black
that.
people was vibing with them. I mean, I think I don't know why, dude. I think as long as we're not talking about cops, like Wiggles based as fuck, okay. But like 100%, like something I thought like I didn't care about is like when I was watching TV and stuff growing up. It's like I don't care like if the guy on the TV is black or white. Like I can empathize with a good story until I watched a show with my dad. The show was called like Leverage, right? And there's this like really nerdy black guy played by Aldous Hodge. And that guy, he was the shit. And I remember he was like my favorite character. And I was like, holy shit, like it's because he looks like me. And like I was a nerd and he was a nerd. And that hit so much harder than every other white nerdy character that I'd ever seen in any other show. And like when it comes to like not even just like empathizing with characters and enjoying media, when it comes to like the ideas that we have in our head about like what a doctor looks like, what a lawyer looks like, what a nurse looks like, I mean I'm picking like really specific for that, what a tax person looks like, right? If you have these representations of these types of people in media, like it can open opportunities that like black children didn't know they had, right? Like if a black child is trying to picture a doctor and all he can picture is a bunch of white guys and Asians, like that, like it's gonna be harder for that black person to see themselves in that position. And like it sounds kind of memey, but like, you know, like manifesting or whatever, but that shit's kind of true. It's like you see yourself in that position, you can see yourself doing that. It's a lot easier to work towards it rather than when there's this barrier where you just like you look into a field that you want to go to and you don't see anybody that looks like you. And I totally switched on that.
Smooth. You want to say something?
So the problem isn't black people having black people being on TV. Like I love seeing black people on TV. My problem is if you have a character like the character you mentioned, that character is probably a great character regardless of whatever race he was because he was well written. They then made him black and you loved him even more.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you know what I'm saying is if you write a character well enough, right, and then you add in blackness to him and he owns it, then that character becomes a great black character. What I'm saying I don't like seeing is you have a really you just have like a token on South Park. Like that's not a well-written great black like.
Hold on, token is
well, just give Superman some love. That's what you're saying.
South Park is a racist ass show. Fuck,
no, I'm not. I'm about to say there's a difference between.
It is funny. It is funny, and I'm not going to deny you that it's funny. But South Park is a racist ass shit show.
See, the difference.
But they do a lot of like social commentary. On what you said, they be racist for the purpose of pointing out that it's racist, right? Like, I don't like South Park, but they do like a really good job at that kind of shit. It's like really good satire.
I can't really say that because like there's a lot of people growing up that they don't get that. And they just keep saying those jokes and saying, think about the amount of hate that we have towards gingers and like Canadians just because of South Park. Just because of South Park.
Tell Canadians to stop taking our Hollywood spots.
Yeah, goddamn right.
I'm about to say,
Chris,
I don't like South Park. I'm about to say, I don't like Okay, yeah, I don't like South Park. Like, I think that it was like the stuff they did was like too far. I mean, because I'm not like soft because I like Family Guy and a whole bunch of other shows. But like pushing back on what Smooth said, like I don't want to just a well written character who happens to be black. Some people say that. Some people say that that's enough. I think that I like a well written black character. Blackness is like a major part of their experience. Like to me, like AJ and Fairly Odd Parents was cool. Proud Family was way more influential to me on like
Proud Family was so racist.
But I'm saying
Proud Family is a black show though.
But that's what I'm saying. Like it wasn't like they could have took the easy route. They could have like made them a family they could have made them a family that was black, but they didn't. They said we're leaning into this. This is gonna be like we're gonna be doing a black experience on a children's channel. Like they went over Kwanzaa, which they make.
Bro,
but like they dealt with racism.
The cheerleader episode was so racist, and then on top of that, the over sexualization of the kids. Then on top of that, like you have the next door neighbor family, the Boulevardes family. Tell me which Latino family you know that's named. And
it was Dominican.
That's named like. Tell me a Latino family that you know that is. That's the last name is Boulevardes. They just took a word and put "s" at the end of it, bro. That's racist as shit, bro. That's Dominican. Oh my, that's still Latino, bro. Like it's just fucked up.
Like, and don't get me wrong, Bam. I don't disagree with you. There is like a really good there's a lot of really good shows where like someone's blackness can be like an integral part of their experience. But like that can't be the only way that black people are like portrayed on TV, right? Like we can't be locked in this like world where like the only way black people can exist is like struggling through racism, right? Like we need to show black people who like not only succeed but thrive, not just despite their blackness, but sometimes like without it, right? Like not necessarily being, they can still like act black if they want. They can like talk like a little bit black. I don't care, like whatever that is supposed to mean, right? But at the end of the day, not every character's arc and struggle has to be rooted in like their blackness. And like,
I didn't say it was struggle.
I really like that their blackness, like when blackness is like what makes a good character is that they overcome struggle. Because if a character just knocks everything out of the park all the time, they're boring as shit. Right. And so like
don't come at St. Thomas neck.
I was about to say Lisa Turtle was the rich girl. Her parents and Saved by the Bell, Lisa Turtle was her parents was a doctor. Like she was the rich girl in the show, but she was still a black girl. Like I remember it was an episode where like Zach went to her house and like she had on like a head wrap and a headscarf, and that was like interesting to me. I was like, oh okay, like this is actually what a black girl sleeps like. And I was about to say like I don't think that associate blackness with struggle or blackness with like weakness. Like I think that you can have a well-written black character is also acknowledges that they're black because a real black person acknowledges that they're black. Like I don't think like, black people just exist in a
you can yes
my question would be like, what do you mean when you say acknowledge that they're black, right?
Like they acknowledge they're a minority.
Not every black girl out there wears a headscarf, right? And that's cool to see in the show, right?
Right.
Not every like for me, like when I was a kid, I mean I've talked about this a lot on here. I was like constantly called an Oreo because I wasn't black enough, because I didn't fit in with most of the black stereotypes, right? When I was growing up. And so to see like black people in shows who didn't like fit into black stereotypes and were different. It's different. And I'm not saying that one should exist over the other. I'm saying all of these different types of black people should be represented in all of these different types of way across media.
What are you talking about?
There's a great example. Is like I was watching this show the other day. It's the Bosch. It's like a show about like an LA Hollywood detective, and then his partner is like a black detective, and you wouldn't see anything. Like you wouldn't be able to tell. It's like the guy's wealthy, he has his family, etc. There's nothing about his actions that are very black or what have you. But in the last season, or last couple seasons, he's struggling with something that's very specific to like his upbringing, because he's Haitian. And then you start seeing more of that. You see where he hangs out, the people that are arranged in his past life, some of his family friends, etc. And they bring that Haitian element into it. And then it did make his character better in a sense, because it like gave him some depth. But I would agree with Black American Made that there are shows that are excellent of showing like black people or even all black people and it feels like I understand their struggles. Like Insecure, Atlanta do great job of just having like a slice of life like show where I feel like I've gone through that. Like I know that. And I think that's excellent, but we wouldn't have shows like that if it wasn't for like the Cosby shows, you know, the Fresh Princes, you know?
But
Yeah,
all
or like
those
even like a
listed
really
are
like a
still
real
black shows.
true. Yeah.
Hold on.
What we're trying to get to is the whole thing with people being represented in other shows. So you have a show that's not a black show and you have a black person there. Does that black person have to be on some black stuff all the time? Like, no, they really don't.
And like,
They could be
so
black
like,
and
So look at
a
Chris
really
Chris
good
try.
example of a
Hold on.
character that I think
Hold on,
Black
hold on,
American
hold on,
Midnight like.
hold on. Let Chris get in, and we'll get
Yeah,
back to you.
I was gonna say, like, if you do like black characters that way, where they always have to acknowledge that they're black, it'll exclude black people from a lot of different genres. And which one of my favorite is like sci-fi, right? A lot of times you're dealing with eras of like time, right, that are far beyond like this time that we're dealing with now. The show that I'm watching now, Foundation, like the main character is black, like like
good.
a good amount of the characters are black, right? And like when like the black main character, when she comes to a place that's unfamiliar to her, like people acknowledge her for her culture and her religion, like not because of her race, because there's other black people from other places in that area, like right. It's normal to see black people. It's not normal to see this person of this like faith and like culture, right? And that's the thing, like, right, when you write in different types of cultures and things like different types of worlds, right, there's people exist in these different types of worlds with different things that surround them, different circumstances that surround them. So like you're not going to be seeing some like Jedi with a do-rag on, right? You may see like you're going to see them, they may come from a different planet or a different like a planet with mixed people, right? And they have a different culture, they have a different way of speaking and things like that, but it doesn't have to be rooted in like an American centric.
You don't like Space Negro?
There's
a really good
I
example
it before, but now I want to see a Jedi fight do right. That should be badass.
Yeah, that might be on the profile.
I want to be very Black American too. That'd be fucking badass. Actually, go ahead.
Yeah. So like Black American like a really good example. There's a show on Netflix I really like. It was called Sex Education. And I don't think it's over actually. I think they have another season. Yeah, and like there's a black character in the show who like he's really well written. He's like this black. He's an African character, right? And he's gay. And like when he goes home, it shows like his African culture, right? His family has like African like decorations. They all wear like traditional African clothes. He has like when he goes to school, he wears like his like I don't want to say it, but like his gay outfit, right? He's like his flamboyant, like super colorful, like his I'm gonna be. But when he goes home, a lot of times he'll like put on like a traditional African robe, right? And so in this way, and like they don't really touch on the fact that he's black too much until like as like a story point until like there's like I think the end of the most recent season is like he goes to Africa with his family. But I think that like maybe that's like a type of character that you'd be looking for that I think is like cool that they do acknowledge that where this guy's from and like his history and stuff, and they do show that he's like African, right? But they don't necessarily like make it a point in the show until like later on. And
yeah, you don't have to push it. It's not like throw it in your face. It's just things that like if you are black and you watch so you acknowledge like like I don't know something weird, something random, like just like black things like okay I understand that
why would white characters not have to do that?
Yeah, well, like
white characters do that. We just don't catch the references because it's seen as normal society.
What do you feel about like the opposite? Like in like Power, in the Power universe, they purposely make all the white characters like ridiculous, like extremely cartoonish or like weird for being white. And then they do the opposite. They make a show, all the shows, if you think about it, every single one of the black characters is like, okay, like it's just like normal and feels okay for the show. And then all the white characters are just like extremely off. There's something unsettling about them. Like their humor is off. The way they act isn't normal. They're not like the average white person you see IRL, and they're made to be like off-putting. So what would you feel about like the opposite?
Did the writers actually do that?
But Tommy's accent is bogus, and Tommy's hilarious. We just got used to him. When you first heard Tommy, you're like,
awful.
But then you grow
Tommy
on
is
it.
representative of a real type of person. Like I've met white dudes like Tommy.
But they don't sound like this boy.
If you're gonna make it in the drug game, you're gonna be Tommy.
You gotta get close to your mic. Smooth.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, no problem.
My
But
bad.
like,
And I F with Proctor too.
yeah,
Proctor is so corny. I
Proctor
liked
was-
him though.
I love Proctor, but no, I did you know if the writers did that on purpose? Like,
No, I just
Um,
assumed they did it because it's like it's supposed to be a show for black people. So
yeah,
it's
I
like
know,
in
now
the
that
show,
now
the
that you
white,
say it, like I'm going over
You
the
had
white
Holly,
characters. Yeah,
and
I
then
was Holly,
even
she was like
have
a-
you watched? I guess I won't talk about book 2, but like for Power season 3, which is like on its own,
Yeah.
like they did the same. They had like a white character that was coming up, like this chick, and she was made to be really white, and her family was extremely white. Like the dad was like trying to be really down with the culture in a really cringy kind of way, and the mom was like, and they just do that. I just assume they do it because not for like any forced reason.
For
It's just
revenge?
because they want to portray these like characters in a way that's like humorous. Like they
The
want to
only bad
install
white
humor that
character I
way.
know is I can think of is Cooper. I think Cooper's lane. Well, Sax. I was about to say. And I
Bro,
think,
Tommy's mom.
Greg,
Tommy's mom.
Yeah.
She's
mom
a
is-
cokehead.
I think,
She's
well,
a
she's like,
cokehead.
well, I feel like she would be. She raised a son in the middle of like.
But she
like-
really bad, bro. But I would say like there's
a
another
character
there's
like Tommy's mom would be
his
Tommy's
dad.
mom.
His dad was fire. You can't argue that. Like his dad was fire.
Mob ties.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Power was like a really whirlwind show.
Yeah, very well written.
I don't agree, but I respect you guys.
I haven't seen it.
You gotta. I'm telling you,
You haven't
no
seen
pun
it?
intended. You gotta power through. See the first series,
I just
so you
couldn't.
can get to that. so you
Tommy
can get
was
to the
one of
second
the
Snowfall's better,
worst.
though.
Like I couldn't listen to Tommy talk for any longer. I got like
You
six,
get used to
seven
him because
episodes.
he's so funny with what he does, and so you just grow. Like he's the character that is like he's annoying on the show, but the things he does, the cruel things he does, are so funny. Like he's run over
I
people.
guess.
Like just he's so funny, bro.
I
He's just so
guess
funny.
it just
Tommy is
doesn't- it just
invincible.
doesn't work for me.
Oh my god!
I'm about to say book 4 is gonna be Tommy's show. Is gonna be
Yeah,
like he's the main
of
character.
course.
I was about to say, but like, yeah, Snowfall is a better show overall
definitely is.
in terms of like, well, because Power is like drug dealing is just like a theme, but like it's more of like not really a soap opera, but it's like a
It's a black male soap opera.
It's a drama.
it's just a drama. But Snowfall is a show about dealing drugs, and like the characters are like really like well written, hardcore. Like this is actually what the streets is like. And Power, they like everybody's rich, they kill people off in like
it's a
2
black
seconds. They
male
like way too
soap opera.
hardcore.
It's supposed to be like a black male like wet dream of like you watch it and you want to be Ghost. You want to just be like cheating, doing whatever you want, running a club. You want to be like super wealthy, etc. That's like his character
Where's my black men don't cheat
in the
shirt,
beginning
man?
is just like
Black
damn.
men don't cheat.
Like the second series, well, I guess I won't talk about it. The third season when you're watching Kaden grow up, it's like it's very male centric, the vibe, but they do have female representation that's very good, especially in like not so much in like Power Book 1, but in Power Book 2 and Power Book 3 they rectified that, but it's still like is a very male centric show that's kind of supposed to be for like black men, and then they expand that to be like a show for black men and black women in the next 2 series.
I thought they ruined.
I want to ask about this though. Then to the people who wanted a more like blackness to be like an important part of a character, right? Like, what do you want specifically black excellence to look like, right? Like, do you want it to look like closer to Black Panther, right? Where it was the king and it's like a, you got like and less his specific details, more that he is like a paragon, right? A paragon that's kind of like outside of our experiences, just like so far above most black people, right? Like in like the lives that they live. Or do you want it closer to Ghost, right, from Power, in which it was a character that like you could see, like if you had made different choices in life and just been smarter, right, in general, then you could it's something you could have achieved, right? But it's something filled with violence, right? Like, and playing off those stereotypes, right? Like at first, like Ghost like pushed back against all that. I was like, "Oh, you calling me a drug dealer?" Right? He tried to use like like racism against people. Like, "Oh, what? Like me?" Like, no way! Holy crap! Like, I'm above all that, right? I had a rough past, but like,
I'm a business owner.
I'm a businessman, right?
I'm a businessman.
I employ
like,
people.
What do you want? Like a paragon or someone like who's just fucking dirty, but he is more realistic, and then like he cheats and all that stuff. He's more.
I want Bill.
You already know. We watching Black Panther, and we all remember Killmonger. But give me like what more than the meme lines from T'Challa, like rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. But like, we like villains. Like, I don't think it's a black thing to like villains. I just think like it's a universal thing. Like, even like
there's a lot of those villain shows are like really popular.
I didn't like.
Everybody wants
dumb,
to.
bro.
Everybody wants
He
to attach it
literally
to
had
like
the best country on earth. He literally was like in the lineage of the best country on earth, and yes, managed to mess it up.
He left, but they was leaving other black people behind, which I respected.
I really don't. Yeah, they were leaving other black people, but all skin folk ain't kinfolk. All right, that's what was basically was the moral of the show. All right, some of y'all need. Some of y'all need to get thrown in the oceans, man.
He didn't end with the leaderism.
Real talk, they did them dirty
because they'll turn into Killmonger. Unfortunately,
after all that shit, like
you have
hey auntie.
After everything they did for White Wolf, all right, Bucky, that nigga still released the prison. Like, yo, he still released the dude that kills your leader and like was going like did that to your country, and he released them just so he can finish a mission. Like, that's what they do. That's what they do. What the fuck?
That's what white people do? Are you saying that's what white people do?
No, that's what the Avengers do. That's what the Avengers do. Like, this dude was, first and foremost, he had a black man right next to him, making those decisions with him. He had Sam right there. That's what the Avengers do. They don't give a shit about Wakanda. Wakanda, think about it. Wakanda fought the war on their soil. They did all of that, and you still released the nigga that killed their leader so you could complete a mission off the grid. Like, what the? No respect for the Wakandan people, right? You know, they're still grieving, and you did that shit. And these respectable ass female soldiers came to you and were just like, yeah, you're not doing that. And then he just lies. You know, he's just like, what the fuck? You know,
I'm about to say, unironically, the Avengers are responsible for like 80% of the like issues caused in the universe. But answering Prime's question, like, if I had to attach it to shows, it would be about to say like old and modern. Like, everybody references the Cosbys. I don't need that level of like black elitism. I like Family Matters. I like Fresh Prince.
What did you? Oh,
and if I reference now, it would be Insecure. Like, I think that shows a level of black excellence that's like that's still like down to earth. And like,
they weren't excellent until like season 4 though. It was trifling. All the characters, most of those characters, is trifling.
Oh, which show are you talking about?
Insecure.
Oh, Insecure. Nah, I'm about to say they went. Everybody was rich except Issa. Everybody is like was like a partner at your law firm. Like, they went to Stanford. Like, they are black excellence. They are like the upper
she
class.
Was swinging the best friend was swinging with somebody's husband.
I still haven't seen it. I don't know.
Oh my goodness, you should, Prime. It's excellent.
I like half an episode, half the first episode. But
Insecure
I hear it's good.
It's not a show for me. It's good. It's just not like a show I relate to much. I really related to Atlanta because being black, living in the hood.
Mad weed.
It felt like living in the Twilight Zone, and that's exactly how that show felt. Like, it's like a black Twilight Zone. Yeah. That's like when they were sitting outside smoking weed on the couch, like in the middle of the grass, like in like this apartment complex. I'm like, oh shit! I like that is some like I literally had deja vu because I know that experience, right? I like all the experiences they were having, all the weird things that was happening around them, right? That was indicative of like a black experience to me, like, right?
Crazy shit happens in the hood, man. Like, random shit.
Oh my goodness, Darius! That's what you knew. That Darius was an excellent character.
There was no character on television like Paperboy. There was no character at all. Seeing him was so unique because you're like, I know niggas like this, but I've never seen this character on a screen before.
He's such a good actor. I never would have guessed he was gay. Like, and like kind of like flamboyantly. So I never would have guessed this character was gay. He is such a great actor. Like, it's crazy.
Speaking of this,
I'm talking about Michael Scofield.
I was gonna bring this up to Gambit. All right, so this is something that I was thinking about, right? So it's like when people think about like LGBT and they think about gay people, etc., and like they think like the capital of that in the country is like white gay utopia, San Francisco. But like I thought Atlanta in Georgia is where like the majority of these people are. So it's like, what is up with that?
Majority of black gay people, but not.
I thought there's hella gay people and there's hella representation in Atlanta.
Oh,
Okay,
for
I'm talking
sure,
about
but
I'm talking about Brian.
Anytime
Atlanta
you
is
see,
like the
anytime
black
you see anything
gay
about like
capital.
gay capital or anything, they just show us like white gay people in like San Francisco alone. They'd be like,
That's
San
the
Francisco.
white gay capital of the world.
It's,
Okay.
it's in the Rainbow State. It's like, but I was about to say, yeah, no, I'm like, I've been, I grew up in Georgia. Like, Atlanta is super gay, but like, not like, I mean, it's cool. Like, everybody just doing their own thing. It's super black, super gay. We
So,
all, everybody doing good.
I want to ask Gambit. First of all, what was your opinion on what I asked before in terms of like what kind of level of black excellence do you want? Do you want? I guess people have boiled it down to like a hero or a villain, but like I don't know. I mean, Ghost is supposed to be like an anti-hero, I guess. But I don't know. I
know. I took your question more as like, do you want someone who's like like you said, like a figure to like aspire to be, someone who's like realistically attainable, who's like that guy is like the best at what he does, and like if I work hard, like I could be, or I could have been that guy. Or do you want your like people to be like unattainable, unreachable, like what's the word? You use a really good word. Paragons, yeah. Paragons for people to just like idealize and kind of look at.
Yeah.
I like tragic
book smarts.
I don't like I like
so
complex characters. Sorry, you go, McGambit. I've talked a lot.
Stop trying to hide
No, that's cool.
problematic.
No,
Stop trying to use complex to talk about problematic characters.
Nah, dude, it's true.
Wait,
First
what?
and foremost, I'll say that.
Hold on, let Gambit go.
Yeah,
Let
yeah.
Gambit, 'cause
No, I don't know what. As you were talking about complex, he's just saying like.
I know what he means, but a lot of the characters he
I
named
don't
are
know,
the most
I don't know what
problematic
you think he
characters.
means, but
Like, come on,
no,
Gambit,
but-
answer the question.
So I feel like I like some characters being authentically black, but I'm also on the side of homeroom where I don't think every black character, like the focal point or even a part of that character, has to be black. So I'm fine with both. I think it would be weird to have exclusively either.
Yeah,
Right.
that's kind of where I'm at too.
I agree
It's
with
like,
Gambit.
it's like I don't want every character to like have grown up in the hood, but I also don't want every character to be like some generic white guy who just is black. Like, and there needs to be like a diversity, because black people have a diversity experience. For like a second ago, you guys were all talking about how like, oh, you vibed with like black people on the couch in the street smoking weed, and like while I like visited places like that, like that's not my life growing up, right? Like I grew up in like we were never poor except for like when my dad lost his job, and we were never wealthy either. Like we were just kind of like working class, and then like I went to a black school for like 10 years, and then after that I went to a white school for high school, and it was like I feel like there's a lot of people, and especially as black people move up in society, there's gonna be a lot of people in that like kind of middle area that get left out if you don't like have like a diverse amount of experiences.
I grew up
think
on a
that's-
farm.
I think that's what
I don't
the-
get that black experience.
I think that's the good thing I liked about like Atlanta, because you had three main characters. You had Darius, Earn, and Paperboy. I forgot his name, his real name. But like there's two totally like these. Yeah,
or
his
the other
character,
guy.
his name in the show, like his rapper name was Paperboy, but I forgot his like actual name in
Al.
the show. Al, yeah. So these three totally like you had like Darius, which was like the super stoner, like he's always like kind of smart but like kind of aloof. And you had like Al, who was like the gangster dude, the rapper, and then you had like Earn, who was kind of a nerd, right? He was like, it was just like kind of this like the separate dude, because every time he went into these, like that's who I related to. Like when he goes in like into these hood areas, right? He notices all this weird stuff going on. He notices all the nonsense that's happening, right? And it's like, how do you react to some of this stuff? But like, it's just like kind of a normal thing. Everyone else around him is just seeing it as normal, right? When like Darius takes him to go, like when he's trying to sell some puppies, or he's trying to make some money, and Darius takes him on this quest where he's like getting a dog. He's like trying to get someone to help him breed a dog so he can down the line get some money, right? And he takes them all this trip, like this whole episode that like Ern had no idea where he was going, what he was doing, right? And then he tells him down the line, like, oh, you need money today. You're gonna have to wait like 6 months when these puppies have them. And he's like, wait, what the hell? Like, I need money like right now. What are you doing? Like, and like it's just all sorts of weird stuff happening around him. And like that's how it felt. Like growing up, right? I was not typically hood. I was not like I didn't use any slang language, right? I was a nerd. I was doing like a lot of shit white kids were doing, but I was like square in the middle growing up in the hood around a lot of people who were not like me. Right. And I just noticed things around me that just like were just seemed crazy, but that's just how you grow up. And like I think that's why I like the idea of having both of these types of characters. Like not even like having a stereotypically kind of black character in some shows reminds me of the people I grew up with. But sometimes having a character who's just in that world and who's just like another character
kind of happens to be black,
yeah, happens to be black. I can latch onto that character. I can see myself in that character without having any other baggage.
I was about to say, Ern's not hood. Like Ern's not hood by any means. He about to say he grew up
to be
in the
clear,
hood.
I wasn't trying to like shit on any like I'm like at any specific show. I haven't seen Atlanta. I'm so excited, but I think I'm just gonna wait for it to finish and then binge it all at once.
But watch it.
I do that with
a long time.
I do that with a lot of, okay. I fucking finished House in like I think it was like a month. Okay, that's like 170 hours of TV show. I've been shows like crazy.
Atlanta,
the show is short.
Atlanta's on hiatus, so you might as well like just watch. You know,
we got like 3 seasons.
But then I get to the end of the hiatus, and then I have to wait for the next shit to come out, and that's painful. Okay,
do it.
Poor baby.
I'd say like
the show ends.
I like complex characters in the sense that like these characters, they take like a simple flaw, they do this thing where they just give them a flaw, and then if they don't flesh out that flaw, it comes off weird. Like you were talking about Ghost earlier. His thing is just like he's extremely selfish, and then on top of that, he has trust issues. He doesn't trust anybody. And then it finds itself being annoying because when he interacts with other characters all the time, you feel like, dude, this is like comical at this point. Like, just trust the person. Or like, dude, you're being a little too selfish because they don't flush it out enough. There's a show that they do that with like white characters, Peaky Blinders. They have Tommy. And like he starts off and you're like, that guy's the man. And then the whole show ends up becoming just about his character doing stuff that he thinks is right for his family, and then he's selfishly interested.
Don't say too much. I'm literally just like in.
Like, I'm not gonna spoil anything. This is just his character.
Okay.
Like,
he's about to spoil it all.
And then
I want to talk about Ern for a second.
I want to say talking about like representation just for a second, right? Like again, I feel like we don't give some shows like enough shit for that. Walking Dead. That was Atlanta. That was Atlanta.
Yeah, they barely had any black people.
They were the zombies.
Like
it wasn't even black zombies.
They were the gay zombies.
The zombies was like all white people. They wasn't even good black zombies.
Gay black zombies.
Like we don't give shows enough shit. I'm sorry, we just don't. I'm sorry. I was
no 100% Prime. I like 1,000% because this is my number one thing. I think like I know like GSU Gambit's all about like us teaching our children. And like and bringing our children up and like giving them the resources to succeed well, and like I kind of get behind that. I also believe we fight all whether or not we need to do government policy. But my big pet project, I would say, or my big like talking thing is I always think that we need to like represent Black people more in media. We need to like create shows and create characters that like young Black children can aspire to be, because like. A lot of people growing up, they get like what they want to do. They get their interests. They stuff like that comes from the media they consume. I am so much like a product of like a lot of the media I consume. I watch a lot of nerdy shows. I like vibed with a lot of nerdy characters, and that's who I was when I grew up. And like it's really funny that like I work in IT now because my favorite Black character of all time worked in IT, and never at one point in my entire life was like I'm gonna go into IT, but this is where I ended up. And I think that like shows how strong like media can be. It's so easy for me to fall into like this role.
Before we get like farther away from it, I just wanted to I wanted to speak about Ern just because Chris had brought it up. Like first of all, like, I think Ern is like such a great character. If anything, like the moment you was talking about, like with delivering the puppies, like that was such. It was like a really great quote. It was like, "I'm poor. Like poor people can't afford to make investments." He's like, "I need money to eat today," and it was like that was so relatable. And Ern's character,
complex.
and Ern's character being like from the hood, but not really being hood, and him being like the person who like he let his family down because he was the smart one. Like he was a smart one, and he went to the good school, and everybody was like, oh, okay, he's supposed to be rich, he's supposed to like be the person. And then Al wasn't supposed to be anything, and now like him like failing at that and like just trying to survive through life. Like that was such a relatable thing to me personally because like I grew up.
I was gonna say you just hit me at home, man. Right there.
Yeah, I was always
like
the
my
smart
character.
one. I was always this, like everybody were like, oh, he's so smart, he does everything. And then like I'm just have like a regular job right now. I'm a regular dude. Like I'm not struggling, but like people have like set these expectations for me as a child, and now like because you didn't live up to them, like you almost go through like a level of like depression when you're like, I'm 25 and I'm not the millionaire that like my school teacher and all my parents all thought I was gonna be, and that does not get represented. That like that type of character does not get shown.
Damn,
I like shows as well if like every character is really simple. Like if every single character is really simple and has like an annoying trait, like the Coen brothers do this shit with their films, where it's like every character is really annoying in a specific way, and then you're just waiting for like the interactions because they annoy each other, and then that's like what makes the shows great. So like the Coen brothers inspired show like Fargo, like that's what happens, where there's like characters that have these flaws early on, and you're just waiting for them to interact because you're like, oh my god, they're gonna annoy the shit out of each other, and I get to watch it on screen, and you already like know what's gonna happen as soon as you see a character on the screen. I like shows like that, but what I meant with like complex is like, it's like the character like Ern, he is a complex character. These are characters that you can throw them in an environment, and you have to actually think of how they're gonna act. That's like what makes shows like Westworld great. That's what made like Tyrion like a better character than Jon Snow and Daenerys. Is because you can throw them in an environment and you have to sit there and actually like think, what are all the actions they've done in the past? What really are their motives? They're changing characters, they're dynamic character, and like what are they gonna choose? Versus a character where it's like, you know what Ghost's gonna do, you know what Tommy's gonna do, you know what certain characters are gonna do, because they always will make the same choices. Once you figure them out, you figure them out, you know?
Sasha was the real villain.
So I just want to say, like, it's very important for black characters to not always have a black experience, but a human experience. Like if you can give them a human experience, then that's all I need from that black character. Like to ground them into reality and give them a human experience is all I need. They don't have to have the black struggle of, oh man, that guy side-eyed me in the grocery store. But I mean, if you give them a human experience, like that's really all I need. Like
based,
and that's all I really want to say.
Sound like a Dave Chappelle apologist. I'm having a human experience.
But we had this back in like the 90s where like there was this black representation. I remember in kids shows, but like they were always like just a part, like there's another character who had black skin, right? They didn't really have
and a flat top.
Yeah, and a flat top. Right? Like I like that representation. I love Beetleborgs because they had a black character, right? But when I think about it, like that black character was just like another character. Like his experiences, like his family life wasn't really different than any of the other characters. I like that, but like that was all we had back then, right? When it was a black character, they had a different look. But as far as like speaking, like experience throughout the real world, there was no difference. And so that like can like come on, like it can seem really weird too. And I think that's what a lot of people these days like when they're complaining about like forced diversity and stuff, because they want to go back to those days where like these black characters were just in that, they were just black and their experiences were just ignored, right? Like the way they might move throughout the real world was ignored, and they like that better than when a black character is in a show in a thing where like them being black has some repercussions, right? And they don't want to see those struggles. They don't want to see that like those interactions in the world. They just want it to be like just a black character, and like and they're acting like every other character in the show. They say force diversity, they want better written characters, but that's not true, because these guys can be some really great written characters with those like struggles and like the like backstories in there. They just don't like to see that like white people can be fucking terrible sometimes, and it's not even just white people. You might run into like instances of racism from other cultures and other people. I don't like it. Just the forced diversity thing just feels really a really lazy criticism.
Chris, you hit it on the head. I fucking love it.
100%.
You like
is Up and Away a black superhero
nailed
movie?
it, Chris. Like
Yes,
to say
yes,
exactly
it has
that.
to be, man.
To say exactly that. No, it's that like they have to confront reality as this, because it gives them, there's an escapism to it, right? Like and so often in life they don't have to deal with these things anyway. Like white people don't have to deal with these things any which way, right? Like it's so often hidden from them with their privilege, right? Like that's what that white privilege, one of the things they talk about is that you literally don't have to deal with this. You don't have to hear about this, experience it, right? Unless you like come out, seek it out in places like this, right? You don't experience these things. But the moment it's put in front of your face, right, and you can't escape it. Oh, it's diversity. It's like it's forced diversity, right? Because it's and that character is in the side character, and you're in that's the story focus. Well, now you got to deal with that. Now this isn't just escapism for you, right? Now you've got to understand, like, oh yeah, this is how reality treats these people. And maybe I'd play a part in it too, because you might recognize yourself in the white characters, right? And they cannot stand that. They cannot stand it. They can see themselves. But they lash out at everyone else. So it's fucking sad. I think you crushed it, Chris.
Prime.
Yeah,
if you don't want
the only thing I would
racism,
say,
you have to ignore the racism away.
Yeah,
If we
exactly.
just all ignored it,
Duh.
then it wouldn't be a problem.
which is why, like, yeah, Chris, I think you just like you fucking knocked that shit out of the park, dude. But the only thing I would add is like that's why I always say we have to have like that can't be the only thing that black characters on TV are, or in media are, but that definitely has to be there and definitely should be there. And as well as, like I said, the black characters who are just kind of black, but they act white or whatever. They're just normal black characters who aren't necessarily black. All of this has to be there. Like black people can't just be one thing. There has to be a dynamic like amount of black people, a dynamic cast of black people among TV, so that one, we can stop stereotyping black people, but two, also expose people to the realities of the world. And that's why there's different types of shows for different things. Like black people need to be in sci-fi and fantasy. Black people need to be in like your dramas and be in your shows like Power. Black people also need to be in your shows that are showing people the struggles that black people go through and make white people feel guilty, because everybody knows a white woman who saw like some TV show or some documentary about black people and was like now thinks racism's the worst thing, and it's like some rich white girl is like trying to fight against it in whatever capacity she is, right? Like it spurs people into action, spurs white people into action, and so
think of
all
how
of
much
these things
better.
need to exist.
Hold on, let me just ask that again. How do you do we count? Talking about these splits, do we count Up and Away as a black superhero? Wait, specifically because they never mentioned that they were black, but they did. They said like you're different. Your family's superheroes. Like they never mentioned that was black. That wasn't the thing. So I'm curious. Like I never associated it as a black superhero movie.
If you were a kid, like, and you watched that, and you were, because you would be around my age, you saw that, and you were like, you knew you were going to watch it. There's some of those like movies that are like on Disney and shit where you're like, I won't catch the premiere or something. I'll catch it tomorrow. That was one you were watching. That was one that you're like,
I was annoyed they didn't give them powers. Like at least like they went back and made a white version with Sky High, and then they ended up giving them powers. And I'm like, that's what you should have done.
You're right. That actually was like, wait, I didn't think about it like that.
What show are y'all talking about?
So true.
Yo, the one with
Up
the
and Away,
foil, where like the weakness was.
I don't watch
or whatever.
television like at all. So
you don't remember Up and Away?
I don't know
like the
anything.
90s or
like 2000, dude.
Yeah, early 2000. Yeah, like their weakness. Their weakness was to aluminum foil, but they were a black family of superheroes.
Yo, they were so
except
cheap
for the
on
son
set.
who didn't have powers.
They were like, yo, we need a really cheap weakness so that we can finish the funding of this film. They're like, aluminum foil. Aluminum foil.
But yeah,
They never taken
it's
it to go
basically
plate.
Sky High.
They never taken it to go plate. They're always eating their whole meal.
Think about how much like the '90s Power Rangers would have hit different if like those two bullies in the show were like extra mean to like the Black and Asian and like Mexican characters, right? If they were like really representative of like the high school life for these characters.
The
right?
color character was already pretty racist.
Oh yeah, he was like a dancing like black dude. But I mean, if like you had the black bullies in there, like had an extra tinge of like racism in their like in their bullying antics, that would have hit different. That would have been representation, and that would have been an acknowledgement of these things being wrong, right? Or like these things happening, and like this like.
Actually, surprisingly, if you go not say it's in everything, but if you go back into some older media, not like really, really old, but like 90s shit and like early 2000s, like you actually see it's super subtle because like they couldn't put that shit out there. Yeah. Some of the media was ahead of its time, and especially a lot of the good shows kind of talked about that shit very, very under the radar. And if you go back and watch, a lot of times I like catch a lot of that shit. I'll be like, oh shit, they were like they were bullying him because he was black. I didn't notice that before because they had to make it so subtle, you know.
This is why we love Chappelle Show.
So do black people always need to be victims of racism? Like,
no, they don't. They shouldn't be. I don't think.
When you're talking about when you're talking about a real world setting, right? And like, and especially in the high school that the Power Rangers was in, like it was like a public school, like in the urban area, right? It wasn't some like some prissy neighborhood. They went like had graffiti on the walls.
It was
and
an
stuff
Angel Grove.
Yeah, like it wasn't
Grove
like
Street.
It wasn't like it was a really like mixed area that they had it. That's why I had like Power Rangers.
If you want to make the most positive change, like there's a spectrum of racism, and like I think the like complete overt racism, like you don't need that anymore. Like you don't need that in a show anymore because people understand. You want to show that racism that's accepted in America, that everyone lives with, and then when you see it on a screen, you'll see how it's awkward. So like Insecure, Issa Rae's character, like there is weirdness that she experiences, but that's like acceptable racism because the majority of people that are white in the country are like okay with that. They're like, well, that's not overt. And when you see it on screen, you get to see it and be like, that is kind of weird, and I can see it through this character's eyes. But like no more of those like 90s shows like Fresh Prince and stuff that are like there's an episode.
What's all of this nuance? We need more slave movies.
It's just like, it's because the more they do these episodes of like, this is racism. Like, I remember the episode of like Family Matters when like Carl was like sitting down with the cop that was harassing his son, and he was like, "You're not gonna harass my son anymore. Little did I know that you were harassing him because he's black." And then he goes after like the lower level cop, and he's like, "I'm a cop too." And it's like, you don't need that anymore because like you want to show that shit that everyone deals with, that shit about like going to a store and then people are like watching you. But like you hear that, but you don't really know. But when you see it from the perspective of a black person going through that and a character that you like because you're watching the show, you'll be like, oh, that is kind of weird. And then you'll start looking for it. And it makes you more aware of these things. And I think that's what you need to show in like television.
Yeah,
like they need to show the nuances of racism.
Nah, I don't want to see people getting followed in Macy's, bro. I don't want to see that in my TV.
I was about to say, Issa went to work and like she was like her coworker asked her like, "What does poppin' mean?" or something like that, and she was like, "I don't know." And then she walked out. She was like, "I know what that means. I'm not gonna tell them." Like they asking me because I'm the black girl. Like she's like, "I know what that means." But I was like, "That's real. That's like," or everything she says is like, "Wow, that's so powerful." She gets like a clap, like she like, "You had to struggle to get here, didn't you?" She was like, "I grew up in Beverly Hills." Like, you know, she grew up in like a really nice house in a nice neighborhood, but like people associate her with struggle. Like Insecure is really good at like addressing a lot
sounds
of
like Vosh. No,
I love the shows that show not only show the racism from like the people who are trying to be negative and like bring people down, but I love the shows that show like, I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but I know I've seen this where it's like a white woman, right, who's like trying to like be extra not racist, and in being that is actually being racist. You know, they're like, "Oh my god, like Daquan," and you're like, "My name's like Brian," like you know, or like, and that's like a bad example, but like, you know, they're like where they show the subtleties of like people trying to be like too anti-racist, and like it's also racist.
Brian,
my name's not Brian.
Like
it's Adam.
How much of that do y'all want to see versus like just a black person having like just like how much of what do y'all want the balance to be? Like, do you want to always turn on your TV and see a black person going through like stuff that you would normally go through, or do you want like some of it to be like, oh, well, like this black person this person just happens to be black?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
what's the
80-20.
balance?
80
I mean, like,
we
give
just-
it-
we- I think
Yeah,
we kind of-
I
we did
think-
representations.
I want the representations of them like having some form of struggle. And if you can have like others that are just in positions, but realistically, there's other minorities that like if they're really constrained to characters or something, there's like black people have gotten like a good amount of representation. Like throw that to someone, like throw that to Asians, throw that to like an Indian character, like throw that to like a Muslim character from like
Rami
I
is
don't
really
know,
good.
from a Saudi Arabian character or something. Give one of those characters
mean
some
like Piccolo?
representation. Whereas like I think what's important if you have like a black character specifically would be to showcase them as like dealing with the struggles that like we deal with. Like, yeah, we may deal with overt racism in our lives, but like it may not be as cartoonishly often as some of these shows. We deal more with like that covert racism in our everyday lives all the time. So show more of that shit. Like not like every 2 episodes there's like a fucking like sit down conversation.
They call
of
me
just,
nigga
like,
at work every day. I don't know where you from. No,
But you work at, I thought you worked at a black place, bro. You work with the G's. I'll tell you what. You make a black show and you put in one white celebrity in it that can say the N-word, and it would sell. Just because that's what white people want to see.
That's so
It would sell.
No one's gonna do it, but that would be so true.
Yo, make a black show with bad black characters, put Neil Patrick Harris in it, and let him say the N-word, and people will be like, "Oh, I love that show. It's so great."
But now you have white people going around saying the N-word, right? Oh, Neil Patrick Harris did it, you know.
Okay.
But no, I think like to talk to what like Smooth said, I don't know if it necessarily. I don't know what that number is. I think like it all has to be there. I would say like relatively equal amounts of balance would be nice. But like it
No, I
this
don't
doesn't
think it
have to
should
be
be
like in like
No,
all
I
this
think
can be
it
like
should be more like regular black people. I don't think it should be like when daishikis and like fuck that.
Yeah, you gotta go so dramatic with
Daishiki,
it.
bro.
yeah,
What you
but
talking
regular
about,
black
brother?
people could mean like a black
Brother,
person
what's wrong
who
with
goes to a black
daishikis, brother?
like so like what I'm saying is like I think I think for example like I think you can do this in one show, right? You can have well
GSU always got
Hollywood
something to
doesn't
say
know
about
this,
Pan
but you can
Africanism.
have 2 black characters in a show, right? Hollywood might not know, but like they can do this. But they put 2 black characters in a show. And one black character is like dealing with the struggles of being black and like wherever his environment is. And another black character is dealing with the struggles of like his girlfriend or wife breaking up with him. And he doesn't really care about that he's black. He's dealing with this other shit, right? Like it doesn't necessarily have to be like this show is like black people going through black struggles. And this show is just normal ass black people. And then that show is fantasy black people. Like you can like obviously fantasy and sci-fi like and stuff like that, like that's like a little bit different because it's not in the real world. But even still, you can like mix all of this together by just like Hollywood just has to start putting more than one black character. So it's like,
and it also doesn't have to be all the time. Like I was about to say, I don't. Did anybody grow up watching like Boy Meets World?
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
I don't know. I did. Well, like I was about to say, like Sean ended up
I
having a
used
black
to
girlfriend.
love Boy Meets World.
Exactly. Sean ended up having a black girlfriend in the later season, and they never really acknowledged her being black. She was just black. But until she met Sean's dad,
talking about?
until she met Sean's dad,
was
though, and then Sean's dad had an issue with Sean dating her, and that was something they referenced. Like it doesn't have to be overt. It doesn't have to be like it could just be a real random episode where they deal with like some real life stuff. Like it doesn't have to be their entire character is the essence of blackness. Like it, like the black struggle. You can just be a regular character who sometimes has like normal experiences that like black people find relatable.
It's full.
Yeah, because my next question was gonna be like how often like a week are y'all experiencing racism? Because I'm
Every
not
day.
saying like,
Every day, go outside.
I'm saying like every month.
Not often,
sure, but
every day
that's
go
kinda
outside.
crazy.
Like
It is.
when it comes to the characters that you're writing, right? It's like all these other characters, all the white characters, they have are full characters. Like they have a backstory, they have struggles that they're dealing with, things that might like from the past that might be catching up with them in the future, things that have to be dealing with on a daily basis, whether it's whatever the show revolves around, like a addiction or whatever, right? If you have like what often happens is like they'll make these minority characters these side characters, but every other side character has like a full like they're full characters. They have backstories. They have like issues that they're dealing with. These minority characters don't they're not full. They don't have a backstory. They don't have issues that they're dealing with. They're just there to support like that main character and everything, right? And that
So y'all
is
didn't like Black Lightning?
Black Lightning is no, that was awful. Like DC has some issues, and but I don't want to get into
DC tries too hard.
It's too hard.
Yo, but that black representation in Titan, they got the two fine Starfire and Blackfire.
No. I'm so sad that this later season was supposedly
it was pretty
not that
booty.
great.
It was pretty booty. It was pretty booty.
Yeah.
But Starfire and Blackfire? All right.
But like
Yeah,
that's
but
a
I
good
think
that's
you
a
said,
good
like-
one. Starfire and Titans, she's a black, like her character is black, right? But she's an alien, right? So she never has to really deal with racism. But like being like black in the real world, like it happens, right? There's like a couple of instances where like the people are kind of racist to her, and she's like, "What the hell?" Right? Because she's not.
And she's like it's almost like black nationalist or some shit, because like her planet, she's extremely proud of her planet, and so is like Starfire, and they're from royalty, and it plays off of that. And then so when she's talking, she's talking about like, I'm a Tamaranian, like you don't talk to me like that. And there's this proudness of
We're
like
kings and
I'm
queens,
royalty,
man.
and like that. So you're getting like almost like an African vibe, etc., with their character versus like a Black American experience and like in America.
Okay.
Yeah, to answer Smith's question, I think that I like personally, and it really depends on who I'm hanging around and like what like how close I am. Like right now, the coworker that I'm on shift with every week is black. And then I come home.
Sorry to hear
roommate,
that.
No, we have so much fun. It's a great shift. And I come. My roommate's white, but he kind of grew up with me. He doesn't really do the racism thing. You know, he just treats me like a normal human being. Like right now in my life, I don't experience like racism a lot. But when I was in college, for example, or when I was in high school, that shit was every day because I was in like all white environments. There was like 20 black kids in my high school.
Wait. There's more to this story. You join IT and you can escape racism. That's just, everybody black jumping IT.
Hey, when I'm on white people, trust me, there's some racism there. No,
I'm joking. I'm joking.
But no, 100%. Join IT and there's no more
I do need
racism.
to get IT. I heard there's money there.
But yeah,
if
like
that'll get black people to join IT, I'll say it.
There's also Gambit there, so it's a toss.
Yeah.
You know, money, Gambit.
But yeah, there's like it depends. But like yeah, when I was in high school, when I was in basically an all white high school, when I went to college, which was where black people were like massively underrepresented, I felt a lot more of it. When I go out into rural areas, holy shit. Like the number of like, because I don't sound black when I talk. Like if I'm online in like a chat room, people think they're like, oh no, there's no way.
You sound black. I would know.
Nobody.
You got that nasally black. You got like that like a lighter. Like you don't got the deepness. Biggie
Small. Because I'm on the black panel, it comes out a little bit more. But like trust me when I say like people don't believe that I sound black, right?
Yeah, I close my eyes and
maybe
like,
I don't know. I don't do it on purpose, but
like white is the default. So if I close my eyes and listen to you, I would just picture you as white because your brain tries to think of people as white from the start because it's the default. And then you're like, oh, there's something black about this person. So yeah, I would be like, you're white.
Yeah, most people when they hear me, they like I have a really white sounding voice. I speak very like pretty proper English. Like, you know, like I don't do any of the black stereotypes. I sound extremely
black. I'm the blackest sounding person on this. Indubitably, I'm the blackest sounding person on the panel.
But yeah, so like when I lived in rural Ohio, Marion, if anybody knows where that is, that's where I went to college. And it's like, ain't no black people out there. And the number of times I had white people be like, all right, you're one of the good ones. And we gonna talk about all my racist shit. That was like once a week. And that shit was crazy. But now I live in like a small city. And like there's a lot more black people around. People have a lot more exposure. So it's like, you know, I might have like a little bit here, a little bit there, but it's like it's a lot more subtle.
It's
Yo,
funny
how does it make you feel that they passed
So,
that shit around? How does that make you feel that they're like, no, he's cool. You can say what you want. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's so fucking weird, dude.
So, okay. Uh, hey all, this is all black everything. Which have Thursdays. Presumably at o'clock. I I thought we were having a really good conversation here, so I didn't want to interrupt it.
I forgot we had other
But I do want to
Yeah.
I do want to do at least one of our topics.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
But okay. First of all, before I say anything, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm guessing my editor is making a cut here. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. And if you are here in the Twitch audience, you've just stumbled upon this channel, but enjoying what you've been seeing, then hit that follow button right now. Make sure notifications are on. I do this 6 nights a week. Don't want you to miss out on all the content that we do. Hit that follow button on Twitch. Okay. I'm going to introduce these people because I haven't done that. So, hey.
Like 2 hours in.
Hey, Bam. Thanks for coming through. How you doing?
Pretty good. Yeah, like I said, Black American Made. All my opinions are right. Follow me on YouTube at Black American Made. People call me Bam. And thanks.
Okay, well, starts us off with a lie, but moving on, that's fine. Chris Cosmo. Chris, thank you for coming through as well. Nice to, I like this. I love when you're fired up, so nice to have you here.
Yeah, these are the topics that get me fired up. It's like the nerdy ones, anything about media, music. I just love it. Like, so yeah. Chris Cosmo. I do some art stuff on stream, but I'm not really streaming lately. I've gotten back into physical like art media. I've started drawing a bunch lately, and I've just like haven't been streaming. I don't know how long this is gonna be, but yeah, I'm gonna keep doing that for a while. I'll still be here. Like I'll show up to some open panels, and I'll still be doing the all black everything now. So if you want to follow me at Chris Cosmo. Last one is 0. That's where I'll be sometimes, but mostly you can just find me here.
Okay. Wiggles, or Wiggle, sorry, Wiggle. All right. Thank you.
I was like, Wiggles, that's a girl name. What?
You gotta stop hanging around
Wiggly
the
wiggly?
crowd, bro.
Wiggle, I love when like you are invested, right? Like, because I always like understanding how you think.
That's crazy. That's the same thing my bank
Wait,
account.
Wiggle thinks?
But no, thank you for being here.
Yo, yeah. Anyway, man, like I'm Wiggle, aka Insane Wiggle, aka Wiggle while I work, aka Wigs, aka Wiggler, aka Wig L, aka Wig Meister, aka Wig Papa. All right. First and foremost, don't follow me. If you follow me, I will call the police. I don't want you to know anything about me. I'm here sometimes. When I'm not here, that's none of your business. All right. When you see me, don't get too cautious. Don't look at my surroundings. Don't mention my boxes. You can mention my computer. There's a reason why it's there. But don't mention the books I'm reading. Don't mention anything. I don't know you. I'm only here because I have some friends on this panel. I like them. I like to talk with them. You're not them. All right. You're watching us have this fun. And you stay there. You stay there in that section where you type. And just leave me alone after this. Peace.
God damn. Yeah.
No, everybody goes and follows Wiggle out of spite.
All right. All right. Thank you for all of that. I don't even know how to continue. Smooth though. Try to follow that act. Smooth. Thank you for coming through.
Oh yeah, man. You're welcome, man. Anytime. This is my second time being on here. I really appreciate it. I like talking with y'all, man. It's really good conversation. I like picking y'all's brains, so I ask a lot of questions. But yeah.
Love to have it. Top Dolphin, all right, man with a million invites. Top Dolphin, thanks for being here, being part of all this.
No, I love being here, dude. This was I'm glad we got to have that conversation that happened earlier, because like I said earlier, media representation is like my thing that like I preach from the rooftops all the time. No, but my name's Top Dolphin. You can also call me Adam. I'm not gonna AKA every username I ever had, like some people on here. But I sometimes stream on Twitch, mostly when I'm doing panels. So you could probably just find me on Prime. But if you want, twitch.tv/TopDolphin. Sometimes I play games on my stream too. If you want to see me feed it League of Legends or Overwatch or something. But yeah, I love this is my favorite panel, the all black everything. I get to talk to other African Americans in a place where like 90% of us are nerds, and is if not all of us are nerds, and it's so much fun. I don't know. I don't know if Azzy counts himself as a nerd, but maybe he does.
He's a Lord of the Rings fan. He's a nerd.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not African American.
Wait, no, but that could just make it. He could just be a Christian,
Always trying to
okay?
throw jabs, bro.
There's a lot of
Always trying
non-nerd
to throw
Christians who
jabs.
like geek out to Lord of the Rings, okay?
Ah man. Oh look, I'll go straight to Azzy then. Azzy, like defend yourself. I know your credentials, man. Let them know.
It's funny because like it's funny how like I grew up similar to Top, but we just ended up on the opposite end of the spectrum. Like I enjoyed my childhood, you know what I mean? Like as soon as I saw the black character and Power Rangers SPD, I was complete. Like I was good, man. I saw all of it, man. Like when he was doing backflips with the locks, bro, I was happy, bro. I was a happy black kid, bro. I ascended my black American experience when I was in high school. Like I was friends with everybody. Like cause I could hang with everybody. I could just like crack jokes. That's why I enjoy Wiggle so much. Cause my friends were like Wiggle in high school, bro. Like we crack jokes and we enjoy time and make fun of all the white kids.
Don't talk to me up to get past the fact that you sneak this Top Dolphin hard, bro.
Top man, I don't know, man. Maybe he was just hanging out with too many white people, man. Maybe he should have ran away, man. I don't know. He should have ran away.
I should have went to the black church instead of the white church, right?
This next Top Dolphin versus
Azzy and I had a long conversation about comic books, man. He's one of us. He's our people. Right?
Yeah,
I just didn't know. I wasn't trying to throw shade at Azzy or anything like that. Like I didn't know if he if he identifies as a nerd, you know.
If you wanna know,
I might have been hanging out at like one of them ethnocentric like Haitian churches and got slapped. And
first of all, Azzy dark as hell, bro. You can throw as much shade at him and it won't affect him. You don't need that shade.
I wouldn't be like
for days, bro.
I wouldn't be the strong black man that I am today if a little jab here and there would like pierce this pitch. This black skin, bro. This melanin, like he said, melanin for nights, man. For nights.
Luke Cage
for nights. Oh man. Yo. Okay. Look. If you want to know the imposter here, that's GSU Gambit. GSU Gambit. He ain't part of us, right? He snuck in. Right? I let him in because I feel bad. But he ain't one of us. All right. Look at him. He's too popular and too wealthy and too successful. I'm just kidding.
No, I'm regular.
You see, low key. He one of the Indian. He like my Indian friends, bro. Like preaching the IT.
IT dude.
Yes.
Preaching the IT from the pulpit, bro. Like, you want to be a teacher? Yeah, that's the
Man, this man showed up to vote for Obama in a suit.
Gambit, go ahead.
So y'all will notice that I changed my name today. I started a new Twitch channel. I'm still gonna have my main channel that I have now, but when I'm doing software engineering content, I will be on GSU Gambit Code. So if you want to learn how to be a developer, and I'm gonna develop some apps on stream, so you can follow GSU Gambit Codes. I'm gonna do my first stream probably tomorrow at 9:30. I'm gonna build I'll talk about it tomorrow. But yeah, I am GSU Gambit. I love software engineering, and that's me.
Toss me.
Hey, are you gonna start from like a one-on-one place with that?
I'm gonna start from the beginning. Yep.
All right, bet.
all
I'm gonna
right.
check that out.
It's gonna
And you
have
uploading this shit to
GSU
YouTube as well?
viewers, so yeah.
I may upload it to YouTube.
So
GSU, did you grow up playing Sonic? Did you grow up playing Sonic or Mario?
I grew up playing Sonic.
I knew that's why he IT. There's something about like the neural pathways in IT. They all grew up playing Sonic 3 or Sonic and Hedgehog, bro.
Sonic
Genesis, bro.
Who didn't play Sonic?
This man be like, yo, have you had McDonald's French fries?
That's why.
I grew up playing Sonic.
I was trying to be intelligent, right?
I was also, an IT professional. So
Nintendo ruined our black
Bro,
youth.
I
That's
played
what I was trying
Sonic.
to say.
I didn't get nothing out of that shit, bro. I'm unemployed.
No.
Y'all niggas like, I got
Did you ever beat the game? You ever beat a Sonic game, Wiggle? Wig-L?
Yes, I played Sonic. I played Sonic a lot. And I'll tell you what, I learned that Actually, nothing. I just learned video games were fun, and that my friends were better at racing games than me.